Welcome Year 8. This is your flip learning video on your new unit, Contemporary Technique. So how will this link to my wider learning? So what you have previously learned was capoeira, so the origins and key movements in this style, but also the knowledge of physical skills that we require in not just capoeira but any performance. In this unit, you are going to be learning about contemporary dance technique and also how to use chance methods to create choreography. You will also be looking at the specific technical skills that are required for any performance. And in future, you will be learning how to create a technical phrase using those chance methods. So, thinking about how this will deepen your learning, that is because the contemporary technique is required when performing the two-step solo, so if you go on to GCSE, and you will also see this dance style in the GCSE Dance Anthology through some of the professional works. In addition to this, contemporary dance will increase your dance skills and your overall knowledge. This will broaden your learning because it links to history, so we're looking at how it links some of the practitioners that you might study in this unit, linked to the industrial and supported the Industrial Revolution through Lauben's theory of movement. So this should just be a reminder that on our Frog site you have the unit skills. So if you look on our unit title, obviously is Contemporary Technique, and you look on the Key Stage 3 dance skills on the Frog site, it will tell you what specific choreography and performance skills that you are learning and also give you those definitions that you need. So again, just a reminder, how do I find it? Log into Frog, in the search bar type KS3, Key Stage 3, Dance Key Skills, click on the Year 8 tab on the top left, scroll down to the correct unit to find the skills that you'll be learning, which obviously in this case is Contemporary Technique. Okay, so in a moment I would like you to pause the video and write down what you think contemporary dance is. Pause the video now and write down what you think contemporary dance is. So what is contemporary dance? Contemporary dance began as people wanted to move away from the restrictions of ballet, therefore it breaks the rules of the strict form of ballet in terms of hierarchy and gender roles, and this paved the way for a new form of dance known as contemporary. It also is a very expressive style of dance which allows or gives freedom to be able to express our innermost feelings. There's an emphasis on the connection of the mind and body through the movement and the performance. It focuses specifically on floor work and also the use of gravity in the efforts of the movement. And it's very versatile, so it combines several different dance genres. So for example, it could include jazz, lyrical, classical, ballet, but also other forms of dance. So maybe add these to your list in a different colour. Pause the video now to do this. So there are many contemporary dance artists, pioneers and practitioners, but specifically in this unit we are going to be looking at Mercer Cunningham. But first of all, it's just to find out a little bit about who he is. So he was born in April 1919. He is an American dancer, teacher and choreographer, and he formed his own dance company, the Mercer Cunningham Dance Company, in 1953. He had a key influence on the development of contemporary dance techniques. He was a pioneer also in the use of a choreographic approach called chance methods, and also used a lot of collaboration with different artists. So for example, Robert Rauschenberg, the artist, created set designs for Mercer Cunningham's work, and also the composer John Cage. And he also was a pioneer in the use of technology to create movement or choreography. In a moment, I want you to watch this short video and make notes on Mercer Cunningham. So it talks about the 6 sides of him. There's lots of key information, interesting facts about why he is a pioneer and why we're talking about him in our unit this half term.
Mercer Cunningham, considered the most influential choreographer of the 20th century, was a many-sided artist. He was a dance maker, a fierce collaborator, a chance taker, a boundless innovator, a film producer, and a teacher. During his 70 years of creative practice, Cunningham's explorations forever changed the landscape of dance, music, and contemporary art.
Even at an early age, Mercer Cunningham delighted audiences with his physical and expressive abilities and his compelling stage presence. He had a deep well of energy for performing, a passion that would develop into an unparalleled and prolific career as a choreographer. Cunningham started his own dance company in 1953 and created hundreds of unique choreographic works. Defined by precision and complexity, Cunningham's dances combined intense physicality with intellectual rigor. He challenged traditional ideas of dance, such as the roles of the dancer and the audience, the limitations of the stage, and the relationships between movement and beauty. Cunningham's embrace of an expanded possibility of dance, music, and visual arts reads like a how-to for pushing the boundaries of culture for subsequent generations.
In the 1940s, Mercer Cunningham and his life partner, composer John Cage, developed a radical new concept. Music and dance could exist independently within the same performance. The dancer's movements would no longer be tied to the rhythms, mood, and structure of music. Instead, all forms of art could stand alone, simply sharing a common space and time. This idea would become a cornerstone of Cunningham's artistic practice and frame his collaborations with a range of visual artists, composers, filmmakers, dancers, and designers, whom he brought together in this generous spirit and encouraged to experiment and create.
One of Mercer Cunningham's most influential strategies was his use of chance and randomness as a creative tool. Cunningham would often flip coins, roll dice, or even consult the I Ching to guide the way he structured his choreography. This strategy, also favored by John Cage, challenged traditional notions of storytelling in dance. Cunningham described randomness as a way to free his imagination from its own cliches, counterbalancing his own rigorous creative process with unexpected moments of wonder.
Throughout his career, Mercer Cunningham embraced technology in his work. From early experiments with television and video, to the use of computers, body sensors, and motion capture technology. These tools allowed him to sculpt, animate, and choreograph dance in entirely new ways, and reimagine his understanding of the human body. In the 1990s, Cunningham pioneered the use of the computer as a choreographic tool. The software Dance Forms could model and animate the human form, allowing Cunningham to visualize sequences and phrases of dance on screen, which he would then translate to a dancer's body. "It expands what we think we can do," Cunningham commented about this process. "I think normally the mind gets in the way and says, you can't do that."
In the 1970s and 80s, Cunningham became interested in creating dance work specifically to be filmed by a camera. Along with filmmakers Charles Atlas and Elliot Kaplan, he developed imaginative new ways to capture and present the medium of dance through moving image. At the core of this strategy was the repositioning of the camera as a key part of the choreography, rather than a mere witness to the action. Through video, Cunningham could change perspective, move the camera through the studio, focus on unusual details, adjust scale and tempo, interweave scenes, and surround the viewing audience with movement. Utilizing unusual editing techniques and image manipulation, Cunningham and his collaborators invented a new genre of dance expression, continually pushing its practice in unexpected directions.
1 and 2 and 1 and go.
Multiple generations of dancers learned their craft from Mercer Cunningham, often through classes he led in his New York studio. His rigorous and physically exacting technique explored, among other things, the idea of individual body parts operating independently of each other. His philosophical teachings were just as influential. He taught his dancers to question commonly held assumptions about dance and the arts, inspiring legions of students through his commitment to experimentation and risk-taking. And many with whom he worked would go on to become choreographic innovators in their own right.
One of the most fearless, inspired artists of our times, Mercer Cunningham's career was defined by discovery. Across 7 decades, he reshaped dance into a new kind of art form, deeply influencing visual art, film, and music along the way. His ideas, artistry, and discipline continue to resonate with artists worldwide. Thanks to Cunningham and his collaborators, we live in a time of electrifying artistic convergence, a place where rigor and freedom can coexist in a common time.
So you should have made some notes from that video, focusing on what you learnt about Cunningham and also what you found interesting, and this will form the basis of discussion in our next lesson, so please make sure that you have made your own notes. So let's have a look at what choreographic approach Cunningham often used, called chance methods. So this was a technique that he used as a choreographic device, and he used this to create an element of surprise. Okay, so his audience didn't necessarily know, nor his dancers, what was coming next. So this technique could include rolling a dice, tossing a coin, or using instruction manuals that he created to determine what movements were used, what order they might appear in a phrase, and also maybe change the dynamics or the direction of the work. He used this in performances, so he might have set phrases and roll the dice to determine which phrase were going to be performed when on the stage. He also might have done this to think about who he would choose to perform that evening. So there are a variety of ways that we can use chance methods in choreography. I'm now going to introduce you to some key contemporary action vocabulary that you will be developing and using throughout this unit. These are specific action words that you will use when we're talking about Cunningham's technique. So here are some images also to support what it is that you should be seeing. So there's lots of exploration of the spine. So for example, in this first image, you can see that the spine is twisting, what we call spinal twists. You've got this idea of sort of fall and recovery. So again, playing with gravity, as we first mentioned when talking about contemporary technique. He uses lots of different elements of space. Okay, so using different directions, opposition with the arms and the legs. He uses curves that might be, so it's curves of the spine, whether that's upper, middle or lower back. You'll often see flat back, so that tabletop position, nice straight line from the bottom of the spine all the way up to the top of the head. You'll see side tilt, so as if sand is pouring out from the ears and you are trapped between two panes of glass and you are tilting to the side. And also lots of rapid shifts in the weight. So that might be moving forwards and then transitioning backwards. So have a look at these, maybe write these down to get yourself familiarised with the key contemporary action vocabulary that you will be using throughout this unit. Another contemporary pioneer is Rudolf Lauben. So he was a German dancer who also proposed the Lauben movement analysis theory. Now, this is still used today, and it aimed to describe and explain the movements of the human body. Now, this wasn't just on dancers. This specifically links to what you should be looking at in history in terms of the Industrial Revolution, because he, during the World War II, was an industrial consultant, and he looked at factory workers and applied his analysis movement theory to maximise energy, efforts and increase the productivity of production at this time. So maybe pause the video, have a read through this key information just to introduce you to who Rudolf Lauben is and why he was important in contemporary dance movement. Okay, so finally, before our quiz, here is your assessment criteria that you'll be working towards throughout this unit. So, some of these words you may be aware of, but some may be new. So, by the end of this unit, you should be demonstrating knowledge of action and dynamic content in your final assessment performance. During the creation of your assessment piece, you'll be looking at how choreography uses motif and development, and you will also demonstrate knowledge of timing content. So remember, the words in blue are performance skills and the words in green are choreography skills. You will then also be assessed on the ability to give peer feedback using subject-specific vocabulary. The extra challenge is to use the expressive performance skills, projection, so the energy in your performance, and also the use of focus, so where your eyes are looking, and also being able to perform in a stylistically accurate way, so specifically looking at contemporary technique and how you should be performing in this way. Also, don't forget your mental performance skills. You've got 3 C's and MM. So confidence, commitment, concentration, and also your movement memory. Having a look at the grade boundaries, just remember you will all be at different stages. So just continue to push yourself, really focus on that criteria, and that is how you will be assessed. And finally, for the contemporary dance quiz. So hopefully using the knowledge that you have developed from this video, I would like you to try and answer questions 1 to 5. So you might want to pause the video, and if you are ready for the extra challenge, have a look at that too. So pause the video and answer the 5 questions. And if you want to try that extra challenge, there's 2 extra questions there for you as well. Okay, so now let's go through the contemporary dance quiz answers. So question number 1, give 1 to 2 sentences to describe contemporary dance. Now obviously you don't have to have these exact sentences, but here is just an example. And you could have taken this from one of the first few slides when you were asked to think about what is contemporary dance. So contemporary dance is an expressive dance which combines several dance genres. Contemporary breaks away from the strict rules of ballet, focusing on floor work and the use of gravity. So if you've got 2 sentences there and they include anything from that first slide on what is contemporary dance, you can give yourself a mark. Question number 2. What is the name of the practitioner who is key to the development of contemporary dance? Now, hopefully you should all have got this right. So Mercer Cunningham was the name of the practitioner who you'll be studying throughout this unit. Question number 3. What technique did he develop when creating dance? He developed chance methods. To give yourself a mark if you got chance methods. Question number 4, why did he use chance methods? So you can have some were part of this answer. So he used this to give an element of surprise, and he also used this to make his works interesting every time they were performed because they were always different. Question number 5. Give 2 movement vocabulary, so action vocabulary. So you could have had flat back curves, whether that's middle, lower or upper back curves, exploration of the spine, you might have also written spinal twists, side tilts, or any of the other key action vocabulary from that slide. Give yourself 2 marks. Now on to the extra challenge. So Rudolf Lauben proposed what theory? That was Lauben movement theories, or also shortened to LMA. Why was his theory important? So this theory was important as it examined movement of the body to maximise energy and efforts, but also, as I mentioned, he used this to increase the productivity, specifically in factory workers at the time of World War II. So tot up your answers, let's see how many you got right.